What is going on, everybody? Wally back with another video, and in today's video we're talking about a little bit of trial of Osiris. So I have the recap Twitch VOD in the description from Bungie if you didn't have an opportunity to see it. I'm also showing a little bit of footage from Trials of Osiris that they showed off today, and I'm going to go through my notes when I was watching the event, and I'm going to give you sort of my interpretation of how everything is going to work and how best you can succeed in the upcoming game mode that will be released with House of Wolves. So basically, the best way to look at this is sort of Bungie's first step into a more competitive atmosphere for Crucible. The standard Crucible has always been marketed off as a competitive game mode set aside from the standard that we see with the standard PvE, patrols, raids, stuff like that. But in reality, it's not necessarily super competitive in the standard term of looking at other FPSs. Now, it is competitive because it promotes a competitive atmosphere, but it's not really competitive when you have 6 teams or teams of 6 versus teams of 1 to form a teams of 6, you know what I mean? So it's very, very different in that mindset, and that jumps me to the point that the biggest thing that I've taken away from Trials of Osiris is not necessarily the gear, it's 2 things. One, you're matchmaking with good connection here. So basically they're going to match you based on probably location. So if you're on the Western United States, you'll most likely play individuals on the Western United States, Northern Canada, probably Mexico, Central America, that area. Most likely, that's generally how I've always seen it. There aren't really any Southern servers hubs in my knowledge base. There used to be back in the day, but that was like 3 years ago, and EA used to promote this. Now there's only East and West servers. So with Bungie being based in a Seattle office, I assume that a lot of everything is going to be sort of offset. So if you're on the West Coast, you're probably going to have a great time playing. On the East Coast, you're probably still have a good time playing too. I don't know who handles their servers. It's kind of up in the air. I know it's peer-to-peer, but it's also based off of a bit of server connection. And I assume the way it does this is it takes the host of your fire team and just takes their connection. I don't think it does any kind of averages. Of course, I could be completely wrong here, so I will just move on to another point that makes more sense. With that being said, you can only match in with 3 people, so you cannot go into Trials of Osiris solo, and there's a negative and a positive here. The positive is that you're not going to have to run into teams of 1, and that has always been sort of a thing against competitive atmosphere play, especially in the standard Crucible and Iron Banner. They get teams of 6 that will just mop the floor with everybody because they're playing against teams of 1 or teams of 2 or whatever, and generally you can't promote that competitive mindset when you have a team of 6 that can communicate versus a team of a bunch of 1s that don't know each other. And so they've tried to make that switch with Trials of Osiris, which I appreciate. The negative, however, and I can see a lot of people already complaining about this, is the fact that it's going to be difficult for people to find teams because not everybody has an abundance of friends that play PvP, and Trials of Osiris, while not an integral part of the next DLC, is still a pretty big part of it, and it should be a lot of fun for a lot of people to play. Now, I know a lot of people shy away from PvP, and this will probably reinforce their mindset to not play it, but I think it's a good thing. I know that's probably not the moderate stance that I'm usually always taking on stuff like this, but it has to be. If they really want it to be competitive, you cannot have teams of 3 going against teams of 1. It just doesn't work that way. I know there's people that still want a solo queue, and there's people that are confident in their own ability to wreck teams of 3, but from a competitive mindset, from an esports kind of mindset, it's just not doable. And I think they're taking the right step with this one, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. Agree, disagree, criticisms, better possible formulas to make this work? Let me know. Other than that, I'll give you a brief rundown. So the way it works is there's going to be 1 map per week. It's up. So it starts on Friday, ends on Tuesday during the reset hour, and it's going to be 1 map the entire time. And the reason they said that is they want to remove variables so that you know exactly what to expect the entire time you're playing. So they want to push a theme. So obviously the first one they showed off was Mercury. Then next week it'll be Asylum or something like that, and so on and so forth. But every week you'll have a different map to play in Trials of Osiris. Now, personally, I like this, I guess. It's really, really difficult for me to say, to be honest. I wish it sort of fit the scheme that if it was a planet. So Venus has 2 maps on it, so give us both the Venus maps. Mercury only has 1 map on it, so a bit more difficult to do. Mars has 3 maps on it. 2 of them are really the only 2 playable. The moon has, I guess, technically 1 map. You know, if it fit the planet side, that would be really cool. I think give a little bit more variety, I guess, but in reality I think it's a good idea. It sort of cuts down that sort of, oh, we don't know what to expect, or we're not sure what map we're going to be playing. You know what map you're going to be playing when you go into this, so that's cool. The way it works is you have 1 life, revives are enabled, but the only way you can revive is if someone comes and gets you. So it's a first to 5 round system. So if you and your 2 teammates all die, the round's over, basically, and that your opposing team takes the round. However, you can revive your teammates, and it's based on the standard revive that works in Crucible Skirmish now. So initially it's 5 seconds, then the second revive is 10 seconds, then 15 seconds, so on, so forth. Very, very interesting mentality. So a lot of players are probably going to get maybe 1 or 2 kills and then sit and protect those orbs of their opponents so that final player cannot go get the revive. Something like that. You're going to see a lot of interesting strategies being utilized here. I'm very excited to see what teams use and, of course, play with to make Trials of Osiris a very interesting experience. There's, of course, the way the heavy ammo works is, from what I saw, it only shows up on the 4th round of gameplay. And that's the 4th round overall. That's the only time it shows up. So generally, you're going to have to keep that in mind whenever you're playing Trials of Osiris, is that when that 4th round drops or someone's up 3-1 or something like that, and you're moving into that 4th round, you got to go play to the heavy on either side of the map. And you should have ample opportunity, but you probably also want to keep in mind that if anyone has their supers up, especially those hunters are going to probably pop a Blade Dancer, come get you. So it's something to be prepared for. But I really do think class balance is going to work in effect here. I think balanced teams are going to be a little bit better than teams of 3 hunters. The final thing to talk about is the new user interface. So everything in terms of kills, stats, timers, everything like that is going to be displayed for you on screen during gameplay, right in that UI, the user interface for you as a player. So if you're unsure of how many players are down, it'll show you with little skull marks how many of your friends are down, how many of the enemies are down, so you know how much time is left, stuff like that. Very, 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 very interesting. I really do think it's the first step Bungie's making towards an actual esports mode. May not be, but really it does have sort of the characteristics and the formula to be possible in the future. We'll have to see how it goes. Come back to that one in maybe 6 months. The last thing I want to talk about is the scorecard, which is the new way they're taking a look at reputation for Trials of Osiris. It's not the standard rep grind. It has nothing to do with that. You don't really pick up bounties, at least not yet. You don't pick up bounties, but you have this little scorecard. Think of it like a punch card in your mind. So you get gold punches for wins, and you can keep up to 9 of them. And you get red punches for losses, and you get up to 3 of them. Fill out either one, you can go in and turn them in. Now, ideally, if you get 3, you're out, but you can get another one during the week. So if you get out like in the first day, you can go get another one, get right back in. So you're good. The way it works is it works directly as sort of an economic voucher. So while you still have to use Glimmer to sort of buy some of the material, you need to have certain wins to buy things. So for a blue package or a rare package, which has coins, motes of light, whatever, you need like 3 wins and 100 Glimmer. To get a helmet or something, you need about 5 wins and some Glimmer. To get a weapon, you need 7 wins or 8 wins. And then to get the legendary packages, you need 9 wins in total and some Glimmer to turn that in. You get another voucher, you go back in. So it's a very interesting take on the economy, sort of how the economy works. It's not a standard rep grind like I was saying. And I really do like this change. I think it's going to be very interesting for a lot of players to go in. Of course, now there are some of the consumables that they're talking about. So the only 2 consumables I saw, and I'm pretty sure you can get other information out here, but the 2 consumables I saw was the one that the first loss will be forgiven. So you activate this consumable the first game you go into. If you lose, it doesn't count on you. You're good. The other one is if you win, that first match you go into counts as 2 wins. So these are 2 consumables that affect you on the first match only, and you can have multiple of them active at the same time. There's 3 in total. They may add more in the future, but it's a very nice take on sort of getting you to play. That will pretty much do it, guys, in terms of the footage. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really am curious to see what you guys think about Trials of Osiris. I will for sure be playing, but you guys have a great day. You guys are beautiful people. I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.